What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bass. In today's video, we are talking about 3 trends in bass fishing that you don't want to miss out on. If you've been a fan of the sport of bass fishing, you notice that there's trends that come and go. There's some that stick, some that you never see people fishing again, but Matt and I are always trying to stay on top of the latest trends. Now, today's video, we're gonna kind of revisit some trends that we've talked about in previous videos, but just kind of want to remind you guys that these are good trends. These are fish catching techniques that you don't want to miss out on. So the number one trend, or the number one, this one's actually going to be a bait. It's part of a trend, but I wanted to revisit it because just recently I went out and had so much fun doing it and caught some really nice fish. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the Karashi. This is a bait that just has it. It's a kind of a combination bait between a topwater, a twitch bait, a subsurface walking bait. It can do a lot of things, but most importantly, the fish just eat it. Now, I've referenced it in previous videos where I've mentioned it reminds me a lot of throwing glide baits out on Clear Lake back before they were a common thing. Fish just eat them over and over and over again, and this is just the same. Now, you can see it is a fairly small bait. This is a bait that can be fished on a spinning rod, but as you guys know, we like to fish it on bait finesse, a BFS setup, a bait casting rod that you can fish just like your favorite topwater, your favorite soft plastic jerk bait, your favorite hard jerk bait, those same rod twitches, the same cadence, the same motion, gets these fish fired up, and they eat this thing over and over and over again. It is the coolest thing. So this thing right here, the Megabass Karashi, is in its own category. Like I said, it could be sub-walking, twitch bait, top water. It could be fished on your favorite spinning setup or your favorite bait finesse setup, but this thing is a fish catcher, and I don't want you guys to miss out on it. Now, a lot of guys have probably already got these because they've been sold out for a long time, but some of the best colors are still in stock, so that's why we're revisiting it. But I went out just a couple days ago, and I was catching them on a flashy swimmer. I was catching them on a chatterbait, and then I ran the backs of pockets and just started throwing this thing around the flooded vegetation, around laydowns, and these fish were just coming unglued for it. It is the coolest thing because it's another trend in bass fishing is throwing downsized baits, right? And this fits right into that category. It mimics small bait fish, and having that real erratic action, if you give it that real fast twitching, it looks like a fleeing bait fish, and these fish just come unglued for it. So that guy right there is an awesome, awesome bait. Now, you can, like I said, you can get it moving side to side sharply, a real aggressive, real fast twitches, or you can let it sink a little bit. It's a slow sink bait, and you could twitch, twitch in ultra clear water. Matt and I have seen it over and over again. We'll see the fish come up and look at it, twitch, come up a little bit closer, twitch, twitch. Fish kind of positions, twitch, engulfs it. It is awesome. So the Megabass Karashi, like I said, it's in a league of its own category, but it is a bait or a trend that is phenomenal, guys, and I can't emphasize that enough. Anybody from a beginner to an advanced fisherman can fish this, and like I said, you can fish it on your favorite finesse gear that you already have. Now, if you're a guy that wants to go down that bait finesse rabbit hole, you guys know that Cashin 7-foot light paired up with a Corrado is our favorite setup for that. There are some higher end combos. Megabass, the Pop X stick with a Aldebaran BFS is a phenomenal combo. I got that one right back there. But this is something that I put in that glide bait category, the Cinco category, the Whopper Plopper category. It kind of sets its own category, and every other bait is kind of based off of that, right? The Whopper Plopper is kind of its own deal. The Cinco, it is a giant category, but that is the standard. And this guy right here, I think, is the beginning of its kind because it is such a phenomenal bait. If you guys want a full in-depth video on how to walk this, how to work it, Matt did that video a few months ago, so I will link that down below in the video description. But guys, don't be a sleeper on that guy right there. It is so much fun to fish. We have some hook upgrades. You can put a size 1 owner hyperwire split ring on there if you want. You can put an owner ST 26 or 36, depending on the rod that you're throwing, on the front hook, but we don't change out the back hook. You start playing around with that tinsel on the back, and it just kind of changes or messes up the action. But guys, I can't emphasize it enough. It is so much fun, and if you guys haven't tried that guy already, definitely pick up a Karashi and give it a whirl. It is so much fun, and the fish just come unglued. All right, the next trend that I don't want you guys to miss out on is going to be this trend right here. The strolling technique, whether it's mid-strolling, bottom strolling, jig and minnow, moping, whatever you want to call it, it has taken the bass fishing tournament scene by storm. But understand this, it's not a new technique, and you don't need forward-facing sonar to catch fish on this. So yes, that is what brought this to the top. It shed that spotlight on this technique. Guys have been doing it for years, decades, walleye fishermen, decades. But yes, using with forward-facing sonar is what made it so well known and popular. But guys, you can be a bank fisherman, a shore-based angler, or on the nicest bass boat with your electronics turned off. You don't need forward-facing sonar to catch fish on this technique, okay? The light bulb moment for me, I was fishing a key area. I had thrown glide baits through there, I had thrown an A-rig through there, and I had thrown a 2.8 Kitech through there. I knew there was fish there. Got my rod locker, tied this guy on, threw it out there, shake, 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 reel, 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 right? I'm just reeling it like I would a traditional swim bait. I'm shaking that rod tip, and that bait is going side to side to side, an action these fish haven't seen. And I caught a 3-pounder on my first cast. It was like, okay. Now, I don't understand why it works so well, but I understand that it works. And again, I was not looking at the fish on forward facing. I was just fishing a key area that I knew there was fish. Now, what makes this so special is the side to side rolling action, right? A traditional paddle tail swim bait has a little bit of roll and some tail kick. This guy goes this, shake, 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 shake. It's not covering a lot of distance to you, right? That's all based on how fast you're reeling your reel handle, but it has a ton of side to side action, and that is key. And that's why there's some specific baits I want to talk to you guys about, some specific heads as well. But these fish haven't seen it, and it's something that you can slow down the retrieve, you can keep it above their head, and again, it's just looking like a bait fish up there just flicking around, and the fish just come unglued for it. You know, I've caught some really, really, really nice fish on this guy right here. And there were fish that I couldn't get bit on other things. I was throwing A-rigs, I was throwing flutter spoons and hair jigs, and I'm thinking like ledge fishing last fall in particular. And the only thing I could catch them on was this guy right here, the strolling technique. So whether you're on bottom, you're throwing it out there, you're popping it up, and let me just do it for you so you guys can see. I'm over here in 3 feet of water, so hopefully I don't get hung up. But basically, shake, 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 and I'm just reeling, right? This thing is coming to me fairly slow, but I'm adding with that rod tip, that bait is going side to side to side to side and giving that real real erratic, rolling side-to-side action. And these fish just come unglued for it. A lot like the Karashi, they just eat it. Okay, so there are, whether you're fishing on the bottom or mid-column, the strolling technique is a technique that you guys don't want to sleep on either. It is, like I said, it's become well known because of the forward facing, right? The jig and minnow, the moping, the Demiki rig, strolling, whatever you want to call it, it works. It flat out works. But separate it from the electronics, because you 100% don't need it. Fish it in the same areas you would fish your favorite 2.8 to 5-inch swim bait, and I promise you, you guys will catch fish. Now, before we move on to the next trend, I do want to cover some baits real quick, okay? So that bait that I was holding up, this is the 5-inch Stroll shad from Hog Farmer. This specific color is called green shad, and that is paired up with a Dirty Jigs tungsten guppy head, okay? It looks so good, has a ton of side-to-side action. Now, you guys are probably familiar with the spunk shad from Hog Farmer. Basically, they've smoothened the sides and elongated the tail section, so it has a ton of action. It's easier to roll side to side. But the other thing I want you to take away from this technique, if you are throwing it, try to find heads that are two-toned and bodies that are two-toned, because that really shows in that exaggeration. When that roll, you're getting that two-toned color change, and that makes all the difference in the world. But that is a phenomenal setup right there. An HD guppy hook, so you're not gonna bend out on big fish. Fish up to 8 pounds on it for me. It's just not gonna bend out. Yes, you are throwing lighter line. I'm throwing 10-pound braid to, this is actually 10-pound fluorocarbon if I'm fishing around bigger fish. I do have another setup here that we're gonna talk about in just a second. But this guy right here, the Sakamata shad, this is a bait that you could not get for the longest time, and they're still hard to get. Super soft, it's got some little wing appendages, or not appendages, basically a winged head. But again, real good side to, woo, I swear every time I try to shoot a video, the wind just wants to blow 45. But that guy right there. So the depth Sakamata shad is an amazing bait if you can get your hands on it. That Stroll shad is an amazing bait. Have a ton of confidence in that. And then one other bait I want to show you guys is that same setup, but this is a little bit smaller leader. This is actually 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, and that is the Mooch Minnow. This thing is a finessey bait that has won a lot of money and caught a lot of fish for Matt and I. Now I have that head, or that bait, paired up with this guy right here. That is the Range Roller by Owner. It comes in ultra small, lightweight heads. This is 1/96 of an ounce, 0.3 grams, super tiny, all the way up to they have some heavy heads for the bigger baits. But this bait right here has the weight all the way up there on that line tie. And again, it makes that, it takes that center of gravity and moves it up, so it's easier to move this bait side to side. Again, a two-tone action. This is a bait that has a ton of durability, but it's an ultra finessey technique. But strolling, guys, is here to stay. Moping is here to stay. The Demiki rig is here to stay. It flat out catches fish. And like I said, these fish are used to that paddle tail swimming by. They're not used to this, right? They're not used to that. They're not used to the little subtle changes in these tails. It's just an action they haven't seen. It's a swim they haven't seen, and it is an awesome, awesome trend that you don't want to forget. Now, real quick, as far as gear, again, this is another technique that you can do on your favorite finesse spinning rod. The Karashi, I like throwing on the bait finesse, the bait caster, because of the action, right? It's all in the wrist. Twitch, 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 twitch. If I was trying to do that with a spinning rod, it's all in the elbow. On the flip side, if I was trying to do this technique on a bait caster, I'd have to be shake, 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 reeling. It's all in the elbow versus twitch, 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 twitch. It's all in the wrist. So longevity, a long day of fishing. It's just easier to do for this technique with a spinning rod. With that said, it could be done on your favorite drop shot, Senko, Nico rigged spinning rod. But if you're a guy that wants to play around with sensitivity and really dial this technique in, try fishing a rod that has a solid tip. This is a deal that came from the ice fishing world. These X-Prides have a solid tip, and it matters. Given that bait, subtle action and sensitivity is through the roof. So the X-Pride, it has a medium and a medium heavy. It's the EXS 610 MH SB. So solid tip. X-Pride, again, comes in a medium and a medium heavy. So I have the lighter stuff on a medium. I have my bigger strolling heads on the medium heavy. And again, 8-pound leader, 10-pound leader. When you hook those big fish, the fight is on, and it is so much fun. But guys, that technique is a trend that is here to stay. It is 100% a fish catcher, and don't miss out on that trend because it works no matter which fishery you're in, no matter the depth you're fishing in. It is a deal that you don't want to miss out on. All right, the last trend, if you guys probably put this together. The last trend, a lot of these trends come from overseas. They come from Japan. A lot like the Clearwater, Southern California fisheries, highly pressured. Japan has highly pressured fish, and they're always tweaking things, always playing around with different techniques. I mean, the drop shot, so many techniques have come from overseas. It's just one of those things that we're always paying attention to try and be ahead of the next big thing over here in the States. So, strolling, the Karashi, or whatever category you want to put that in, we're going to call it the Karashi category, the strolling category or trend, and then next up, the dice. Now, again, this is a fairly new trend as of like last year or so, last 18 months. A lot like the Karashi, a lot like the strolling. It's not new right now, but it's taken us a little while to really dial it in and really build confidence in it. And the dice category is an interesting trend. You know, it's one of those trends I did not see the light bulb did not go off early on. It wasn't, and Matt and I have told this story before, it wasn't until we saw this rigged on a drop shot in an aquarium, in a tank, that we saw the motion, the movement, and then that light bulb went off. So we've done an in-depth video on most of these techniques. Again, we'll link those down below in the video description. But I wanted to revisit this trend right here, the dice, the OSP dice. This guy right here. Because now that we're in April, now that these fish have come shallow, I've seen the light. I've seen this thing work. So I did a video explaining the importance of rigging it on a drop shot. Now I want to explain the importance of rigging this thing weightless and or putting a little screw weight in the bottom and fishing it on the bottom, okay? These appendages have a ton of movement. We all know that bass are curious by nature and they eat weird things, right? This is no different. So the dice, again, It can be fished weightless, just like you would fish your favorite stick bait, your favorite Senko. When these fish come shallow, they're up around stuff. This is when this style of rigging this bait really comes in handy, okay? Whether it's weightless, flipping and pitching, or casting around laydowns, dock pilings, shade lines on docks, or fishing it a little bit deeper, like I said, putting that little weight in the bottom. I want to show you these guys. These are a weight by Big Bite Baits, and I've tried a lot of different styles of basically nail weights to put in the die or in the dice, but these seem to hold the best. So how I rig this, I take an owner centering pin. Let me grab one. I actually didn't grab one. An owner centering pin. I'll rig one for you guys real quick. This helps save the baits from tearing up. Super, super easy. Now, a lot like the Senko, the magic in this thing is the fall. So we're all familiar with a owner centering pin. You screw it into the bait, okay? So I will actually, the head or the top of the bait, I will screw this down into all the way, where it's just below the surface of the head. And then I will take my favorite size 2, number 2 hook, drop shot hook, and skin hook through the rubber of the dice and through that owner centering pin. A lot like nose rigging a fluke. And that helps, when you do catch a fish, it helps from basically tearing that bait. These baits are not, they're not cheap, right? They're not cheap, but they work. Now, the other option, like I said, is putting a little bit of weight to it. This guy right here, kind of a little mushroom style screw lock. Again, has the screw lock in there, and you screw this into the bottom. Now you have that bait right there, this bait right here, that you can add a little bit of speed to on the fall, right? If you want to fish a little bit deeper, if you want to fish deeper docks, deeper breaks, that sort of thing. But again, rigging this thing with that owner centering pin without the weight and just letting this thing free float, it is awesome. It has a real subtle fall. If you get the bait with salt in it, it'll fall a little bit faster, but it's just a super, I'm not gonna say natural looking bait because it's not natural looking at all, but it's got a natural fall to it, and the fish just chomp it. But the dice, the fuzzy dice category is a trend that's here to stay. There's been so many different variations of it, but this guy right here is a proven fish catcher, and it's a technique that I wasn't keen to when it first came over, but I've played around with it a lot, and I've seen the potential and how it works, and it's a trend that you don't want to miss out on. But guys, there it is. Those are 3 bass fishing trends that are fairly new here in the last, I'm gonna say, year, 18 months, that are taking the bass fishing world by storm. You know, whether it's the Karashi or the strolling technique or a dice, those 3 techniques are fairly new, but they are techniques that we have a ton of confidence in, and I want you guys, or don't want you guys to miss out on, okay? So definitely the next time you're in the tackle shop or you're shopping online, grab yourself a bag or 2 or one of these guys right here with any of these techniques and try it out. April is an amazing time to be out on the fishery. Like I've said in previous videos, these fish are active, right? It's a great time to learn new techniques. One of those mistakes I talked about in a video, early spring fishing mistakes, was sticking with your confidence baits. These fish are up, they're active, they're eating. Now is a great time to build confidence in these new techniques. All right, guys, I will link those videos, those more in-depth videos down below in the video description. Matt did an awesome in-depth video a few months ago on the Karashi. He actually gets up and shows how to walk it, how to work it, has some fish catches while he's teaching it. It's an amazing technique. Same thing with strolling. We got in-depth videos. We'll link those down below, and the dice, how to rig them. Mainly that video is on the drop shot, but just like I showed you guys, throwing that thing around, don't eat that. Throwing that thing around is, I can't make sense of it, but I can tell you that it works. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. It works. So those 3 techniques. April's a great time to build confidence in new techniques, new trends. Don't be a sleeper on these. Don't miss out on these. Guys, we appreciate the support. Thank you for watching. If you learned something from this video, or you've tried these techniques and you have some confidence, hit that like button. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and down below in the comment section, if you have fished any of these techniques, I know you have, because when we've done Karashi videos, we've seen comments over and over again explaining the same thing. We've seen these fish coming just unglued and eating them over and over again as they miss them, then eat them. It's just so cool to see your guys' confidence and hear your guys' stories experience the same thing. But down below in the comment section, let me hear some of your thoughts. And like always, like I said, guys, appreciate the support, and we will see you guys on the next video.